All right, everybody, thank you so very much for your time and opportunity to chat once again. It's been a moment. Very happy and excited to have a space and place to talk with you all about Black Comics Connect. We're looking at the very best of Black comics, independent stories, and amazing art, as well as a space for us to dream and share our best. And so, with that, we just wanted to make a space and a place for the campaigns and the programs that not only we're excited about, but also the creators and the storytellers in our ecosystem of Black comics that are absolutely setting the standard and being able to bring together ways that we can have our dreams realized. And so, from time to time, we get a chance to gather in spaces like this to really to see how we can come together and support what we want to see. So again, my name is Daniel Sneed, founder of Subsume Studios and Subsume Media here out of Atlanta, Georgia. And so today I would like to bring together a space where we can talk with a young brother that is really setting the standard for what we look at for Black comics excellence, just Black excellence and excellence in some. So, without further ado, we dropped the links in the chat, but we love to bring a space to talk today about 133 Art and OneNation Omnibus ARC 1. And to that, I'd love to bring to the stage the CEO, the architect, so many things. Actually, this project within our system itself, Mr. Jason Reeves at 133 Publishing. So again, to speak to the many time and talents this gentleman has. Jason, thank you so much for joining us here for Black Comics Connect. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm very chill. I appreciate you introducing me as a young brother.
Oh, we're on the one side of the story, young and young at heart, right? It's either or. So whichever way.
Yeah, absolutely. How you been, man?
And doing all right, right? So we're in interesting times, and to that we need interesting stories and narratives that not only show us but show us at our best. And so I think this is where this particular project, as a collection of many successes for 133 Art and 133 Publishing, is important for us to get out here into our ecosystem. So to that, I'd love to just give a moment and the floor to you to just introduce yourself and in the most direct sense, and we kind of talk about and share, what your story is and what's the story of this bold superhero epic that you put before us.
Yeah, man. So I am Jason Reeves of 133 Art Publishing, and I make comics. Not formally. I still do freelance from time to time, but I'm formally a freelance illustrator. That's like my craft. But I've always loved comic books, and since I was 8 years old, that is the only profession I ever really wanted to be in. So I set my sights on comics at 8, and I just kept going till I got there. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I graduated from the New Orleans Center of Creative Arts. Shout out to NOCA. And I am a Katrina survivor, which, as crazy as it sounds, Hurricane Katrina helped me to get out of my rut, get out of the city, and actually learn the process of being a freelance illustrator. I learned under my mentor, Lee Moyer, who is also an illustrator, and I learned the business under him for 7 months. And when I came back, I was in business, man. 133 Art started. I ended up moving to California, and that's when the business really started to blossom, and we got into comics and comic book printing. And now, another wing of 133 Art is in crowdfunding fulfillment. So yeah, we're out here trying to make it happen with the different streams of income and keeping these businesses going, these independent Black businesses running. OneNation is my baby. It's one of the first stories I ever came up with for a comic book. It's inspired by the X-Men and the Authority and Planetary and stuff like that. These interventionist superhero stories. And let me see how to explain OneNation.
Perfect. That was the next question. Yeah, what's our pitch?
Yeah. I typed it. I wrote it down. Okay, I'm gonna read it off the screen. OneNation is a superhero epic that asks, what happens when the first superhuman in modern times is a Black American? The omnibus collects over a decade of stories, blending political intrigue, moral complexity, and world-shaking action, told across the continents through the lens of Paragon and the rise of other superhumans called Karamats. It's a fresh, layered take on the superhero genre that feels both global and deeply personal. And it It absolutely does. It's one of my most personal stories, and it's everything that I want to say about past, modern, and hopefully future comics and superheroes and all of the stories and genres that I like. So we're running this campaign uh, to collect over a decade's worth of stories from One Nation. We've been publishing One Nation since 2012. And this is the first time we've collected the first story arc together in one volume. And also, a part of this is to build the revenue stream for the company off of the back of Kickstarter, which is one of the largest distributors of comics, especially indie comics, in the world. So we want to sort of utilize Kickstarter as another way to build the company and build these universes in this comic, and hopefully we're successful. We want to break some barriers. We definitely want to beat the funds we raised for our last campaign, One Nation Stronghold, and hopefully, we can make it happen.
But we'll definitely make it happen. And to that, the success of this omnibus is absolutely predicated on a multitude of successes on Kickstarter, right? That the collection is an omnibus, so there's many characters that have had many multiple issues between them.
Yes.
They've been able to consolidate in. So we want to make sure that we are also level setting that this is more than a decade of success on this platform, and multiple stories told. So even more so the reason to be able to bring all these things together. And of course, we think of the X-Men and a lot of the narratives and stories that they hold as a tentpole program. So why not have it that represents those personal stories, and as you say, the world-shaking battles that also draw us into the space. Now, I'm going to ask a couple quick questions, but again, to make sure this is more of the conversation. And for those at home that are joining us, either through Facebook or through our YouTube channel, feel free if you got a question, a connection, or a comment as we look to go ahead and continue onward to depict the mind of one of our contemporary greats that is, again, speaking to a many faceted way to approach storytelling, not just from a single space. So that is kind of my question. Of course, being that you're the entrepreneur, you're the writer, you're the artist, you got all the hats and in the space of the 1 through 3 ecosystem. So when you try to approach something as large as this omnibus, starting with the first story, which I take it, and please feel free to correct, would be Paragon, right?
Right.
Is that point. So when you're starting to build that seminal character, right? That we think of the X-Men, right? Whether or not Wolverine was like the original part from like the original 5, right? When you're trying to plan out these large arcs, we see it done well and we see it not done well. So obviously you're to this point, you're doing it well. So how do you start to world build when you have that one main character that's carrying the weight of your story world on their shoulders?
I mean, the beautiful thing about One Nation is it was always sort of like an ensemble cast. We started I started envisioning Paragon because I wanted to do a character that was like me. Like, what if I was a superhero? So there's parts of me inside of that guy. Some things good, some things bad. So I guess when we start to build the stories, I'm thinking of maybe the three main like the three front runner characters. I don't know if I would call them mains because again, it's an ensemble cast, but Sundiata, Indira, and Paragon are like the big 3, right? And if we go even further, Stronghold will make up the big 4, right? So I'm always thinking of those 4 as like, what are they traipsing around doing within the story? Paragon is probably the youngest of the group, so he's figuring out the world, even though he's the most popular in that universe and he's considered the first. He's not actually the first superhero, right? So he's the one that's on the world stage and figuring out the world. So there's a lot of missteps, a lot of figuring out how to navigate this new world that he's into, being so famous. And
Right.
so that's kind of what the position that we take on Paragon, at least at first. And Sundiata is like the old guy, right? He's the man with the plan. So when we think about building on him and his legacy, he's all about making the 10th Foundation, which is the organization that they act out of. He's always forwarding that agenda. And that agenda is a philanthropic agenda, right? He's trying to literally save the world. Or at the very least, he's trying to mitigate disaster. So he's feeding people. They're an organization that does community outreach, right? They're on the front lines in protests, that kind of thing. So we always taken that from that point of view. What would a man who has characters with these powers align with him do in the sense of philanthropy, community outreach, and that kind of stuff? Indira is like she's like the muscle, like she's like a strong driving force, and she has her own thing going on in conjunction with Sundiata, but she's a mean, martial arts, I will mess you up type character. So she's kind of the heavy. So we take those 3 points of view along with Stronghold, who's also the muscle, but also like less aggressive backup, and we figure out, what is the 10th Foundation getting into this time?
Well said, well said. So to that, so for the omnibus, where I guess where you say like they're not the bronze, but you have your red and gold, or gold and have the hierarchy, with any organization. So for the 10th, I think that's probably a better parable there. So
right
now that you've had several successful story runs with each character, for the people now that get this omnibus, right? What is the amalgam of these stories now bringing to like this newest campaign?
So the collection of all of them in one place is really like the big milestone of it, because as we both know, being indie creators and running creating our own comics, it takes a while for indie creators sometimes to build a capital to do a continuous run of these things. So what's exciting about this is now, instead of having to wait, an amount, probably longer amount of time between issues, you get them all at the same time. So you can get that full story, that chunk that you want, and you can actually get a stronger idea of what this thing is about, right? Like I remember doing interviews throughout the years and having to hold back because the next issue was coming right behind it, and I didn't want to ruin anything. Well, what's cool about this is now you get the full story, right? So when I do interviews after this thing drops, I can start talking about the ideas and the themes that the story, like the full bloom of those ideas in that story. So that's really what's exciting to me about the whole thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did, and I think that's again a testament to more than a decade of success for this, because that is such an opportunity, and that's an opportunity for me and some of our work with Subsume is you can get that issue 1, right? We're getting that issue 2, that issue 3, that crossover, that additional character, the sub characters, or again the secondary parts of that story world and building. Being able to get there, that's 90% do not get past issue 2, right? Like, I think that's like
right.
for
There's like that issue 3 curse.
Exactly.
Of indies, yeah.
Yeah, it's a sophomore jinx. You got to place in issue 1. You get you actually continue onward with issue 2. But getting that 3rd issue can be an opportunity, and then anything forward from that, particularly for for Black Comics, again, it's just where it is, right? Our reality is that it's hard to keep that consistency, particularly in a short amount of time, right? So we see a lot of our masters that have amazing stories because you have to also work on other things in the meantime. Particularly that's piece, right? If if you're that good, then if you get a knock, and we can talk to your knocks, right, on Marvel or DC, and someone comes in, and that's building reputation, it's building your income, but a lot of times that's not the story that's in your heart. So let's talk to that, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure again we give that compliment, and make sure as we drop that link again that that's a testament to having an omnibus, not a not a series, not even just a traditional graphic novel, right? It's a collection of a myriad of these stories. So again, that's a credit. But what can you talk to not only the space between of making these stories when your talent's being recognized by other spaces as well?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I do freelance from time to time, and before this, before I was full fledged 133 art publishing, I was doing freelance. That was my main job, right? 133 art was kind of like the side hustle, and
Mhm.
yeah, man, in those in between times, you got to make the ends meet. So you got to do 1,000 other things, Like I always say, I'm tired of doing 10 things at a time. I want to slow down and do maybe 2 things at a time, right? On a yearly basis. Like it's imperative that we're able to give these projects the love that they deserve.
Right.
So uh I think it's just hard for us sometimes. Like we don't have big marketing dollars or marketing departments. We don't have a lot of times we don't have even more than one of us that are able to do a certain job. Like if you're the writer, sometimes you're the artist, the inker, the colorist, the letterer too. And a lot of times if we can't fund this stuff, we can't fund the delegation of the tasks to create a full comic book. And even on a smaller scale, like 22 pages, this thing is 300 plus pages. So imagine how much work over the years went into that particular endeavor. But even on a smaller scale, you need at least 3 people to make a comic. And that's not even including editing yet. Like that's not even including marketing and PR yet, right? So yeah, the times in between could be hard. I'm a firm believer in working smarter and not harder. I do not want to work hard at this stage in my life. So I'm trying to figure out ways, and Kickstarter is one of them, to build capital for the in between times, for the projects that come up during that time. I want to be better at making sure that we have funding enough to create all of the projects and media surrounding those projects uh, that we want to put out into the world. And yeah, man, it could be hard if you're not doing it. And I think there's ways that we can ease that tension, not just for ourselves but for other creators. And that is a part of what I want to do, my thought process. Hopefully we could create some kind of think tank that can kind of go through those processes and say, hey, how do we ease the pain for people like us, especially the younger versions of us? So yeah, man, that in between time is rough if you're not inclined to be organized. And I'm an illustrator, I'm an artist, I'm not inclined to be organized. I'm just at middle age getting to the idea that I got to be very intentional, very organized about putting this stuff out there.
I think you absolutely are hitting all those points there, and to give some credit to your organization, right? The fact that we have 133 Art and 133 Publishing, right? That you
Mhm.
are actually an actual resource into getting those books out. I know myself and several of us, not just for the Black comics community, but our community and some, rely on your expertise to for the publishing component. Because again, we've got a lot of talent in that space, and as you talk about, is that space in between, and being able to have a resource and space that knows what that is, right? I could definitely speak for us professionally and personally here at Subsume. We've had to lean on your expertise on more than one occasion to save the day. So that's something that, as you're saying, like being able to have that think tank of experts that are the building in all different levels of their career, is imperative. But again, I think we have to have folks like yourself, and we have to have folks like yourself successful in building those types of legacies. So again, having 300 pages of work and the time in between, right, is why we should, want to celebrate a campaign like this. But you're thankful that it's fully funded. But can you talk about what's next for the next tier of support of what you look for this particular campaign?
Sure, sure. So we are currently at something like 10.7K right now. Our funding goal was 5,000. So, thankfully we hit that. The next, we hit our first stretch goal at 7.5K, which is we're redoing the first two issues, which I lettered way back in the day. Well, now we're getting it relettered by just having our amazing letterer on every other issue, and a lot of our other comics past that. And she's gonna go in and work her magic on those first two issues. So everybody that bought the book is getting a revitalized version of issues 1 and 2. And so the next stretch goal, which we set at 15K, hopefully we hit that. We got to grind another 5 Gs, but
Yeah.
if we hit that, then we're gonna add something like 26 more pages, and we already have 52 extra pages, so we're gonna add 26 more pages to that of story. The origin of one of our characters, Mahout. And it's an origin story written by Victor Dandridge Jr., the hardest working man in comics, and myself. And the story is close to being completed. Well, the story is completed, but the pages need to be colored and lettered. Again, given just some more work. And one of our amazing colorists, either Walt Barna or Peria, or there's a couple go-tos we have. Ariana Pisani, much love. So we're trying to get to employ our freelancers and our friends to come in and give the fans and the backers even more value. It's a big thing for me to give even more value to our supporters. So that's our next step. And then beyond 15K, if we, I mean, I don't even, I can envision it.
We're talking affirmations. The next step after
Right,
success. No
right.
worries.
I can envision it, but
Yes.
there's a third stretch goal in my mind. I don't want to say what it is yet. If we
Okay.
hit it, then I'll throw it out there. But the third one is going to be wild, right? It's going to have something to do with Arc 2, but we'll see. And I'll give everybody who backed the campaign will get it. I'll say that. But hopefully we get there. Hopefully we in these last. I think we're a week out. We got one
That's
more week
right.
left, so
That's
we'll
right.
see what happens. But adding value is a big deal. It's what my mentor told me, man. You need to add value to yourself and to your work so that you're always giving your best effort and people want to work with you, and they and it just makes everything cohesive for the endeavors and for the creations that you're trying to make. So I'm always about that. Like I love I I get excited at the idea of adding value to this stuff. So that's why I keep cramming more pages into this thing, more story. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, again, 300 plus pages already is a strong value add. But to your point, and you've been consistent in that of bringing extraordinary value, not only to the work but to the generations of talent that are in this book. So I want to give a moment to just give some shine to. I mean, it's a full on cavalcade of just high end talent. Like Marvel and DC, I'm sure look in this book, not only in all, but all probably some a little shade because like we don't have this. I mean, just in an honest sense, your work can definitely sit and has that. And again, as you talk, we know that if we look at what traditional comics, or we would say like the mainstream comics, have a lot of the the work of Black comics into it, just as a not only just as a default, but as a space of excellence. So when we look at an omnibus like One Nation, you're seeing Marvel level work, you're seeing DC level work. So there's never a space to apologize for that. But let's take a look at just at over 10 years. Look at the careers that have blossomed, under 133 Art and under 133 Publishing. So I'd love to just give a moment as you look through all these books, just the, and I know that's a show by itself, right? But I love to just give a moment to brag on who you have.
Like, I don't see it as under 133 Art, right? We blossom with our people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely. Perfect.
Like Issa Rae says, you network sideways, and that's what we've been doing the entire time. Like, we've been networking with our peers rather than, trying to network up. Even though we're open to that as well. But yeah, man, I call them the all-stars, man. It's like the all-stars of indie comics. Like, these people have done amazing things on their own, right? Alvern Ball, Luis Guerrero. I mean, Luis, art director extraordinaire at this point. Robert Jeffrey. Let me see. Let me look at the list. Ariana Pisani. Shout out to Ariana. These are all also not only great artists, but just great people in general. Matteo Illuminati, Just Havoc, my girl. Walt Barna, Peria Pillai, Dion DeLange. You know what I'm saying? Our main artist, Mario Torrisi, which I need to get up on the page. That was my bad, Mario. Messed it up. I have your pick. It's ready to go. I just got to get in Canva and fix that image. But anyway, just Sean Hill. I mean, come on, man. Like, Sean Hill did a cover for us. Actually, we have a cover by X-Men 97 director Chase Connolly as well. So, we've had a lot of people pass by and pass through One Nation and 133 Art in general. And it's so fun to work with all the cool people, as far as I'm concerned, in the biz, man.
That's it. It's it's all good business. And I think that's the other part. Well, as you say, like, not only to work with them, but to consistently work with them. I think that, again, showcases where you get an omnibus full of just unprecedented talent. And I think and it just goes to show, like, the indie label is only from a space of opportunity, right? It's just, it may be, we say indie just because, we think of the Marvel and DC first, but indie by no stretch of the imagination, is a cap on talent, access, or a great storytelling. And so that's where it's a privilege particularly in this time, to have so much great indie talent that's willing to tell their stories, versus, to your point, and what we said earlier, being able to have to outsource that time to pay the bills. There's no reason things like this can't pay the bills. And I think that's another reason why we want to keep this profile, this space, these conversations going, because we are enough just in I think, again, this program's an amazing example of just that dedication of what it takes to do that. So yet another reason to support.
Absolutely 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So to that, I want to be mindful, and again, kind of give a last call, because I want to be respectful of the brief 30 minutes that we're afforded here. But we absolutely have so many great things that we can continue to talk about. So I want to give this space again. I know we got a handful of folks on both channels, and we thank y'all for it. We're seeing the likes and the hearts, and so I want to just give this space one more time to kind of review with the week out, and then not only what we're looking at here for this particular omnibus. As we see this as a space of success, how do you see the One Nation series progressing going forward from here?
So we are working on Arc 2 as we speak. I don't like to wait when I have ideas. I just go into them full force. That's something I'm trying to, I'm trying to temper like steel, you know what I'm saying? But I will definitely jump in full force. So Robert and I have been conversing back and forth. Robert Jeffrey, our lead writer, have been conversing back and forth about what's next for the next season. And man, we got some good ideas. I got one of my famous outlines ready. I just sent him an updated version actually this morning. What else is next for One Nation? I think I'm hoping that there could be a space for like some media in the form of like a short film or like something animated. I don't know what that, what that could be just yet, but I'm open to the universe sending me some idea and some people. Um, we got in the campaign, we have the Paragon statue. Speaking of other media, so we're doing it with Glen Force Studios, a black 3D model company.
Okay.
And they're creating a 6-inch high Paragon statue. So I'm hoping that some people jump in on that one. We got about 2 people who purchased on the campaign. I'm hoping a few more get it, but it's gonna be live, man. That thing looks good. I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail. So Chris, where my statue, bro? But a few of them are being printed up as we speak. I love prototyping and doing R&D and seeing stuff come alive. So that's another piece of media. And for 133 Art, 2026 is not just going to be about fulfilling this One Nation campaign, but 2026 is the year of Changa. So Changa and the Jade Obelisk is another one of our comic endeavors. It's currently on issue 3. You can buy it at the 133art.com shop. And we're thinking of either producing a Kickstarter for the next issue for release and creating a big to-do around that, or we might do a collected edition of that. If this thing is as successful as we want it to be, collected editions might be our new avenue, at least for release on Kickstarter. And Changa, man, we definitely have other media planned for Changa for next year as well. So One Nation and Changa will be competing for 2026 in the eyes of 133 Art.
All right. And I think we've got a Titan's response here about more One Nation coming. That's Robert Jeffrey II.
There he is.
Man, the hardest working writing man. I mean, I feel like he's kind of like a Sean Hill and some of these others. Like, we're only going to have Robert for a limited time, right? I think we'll be able to call him the way that his writing skill and prowess continues to just be exponential. So again, we got giant.
He better stay around.
I know. I'm hoping. That's why I'm trying to play video games with him. Try to hey, remember me? I'm the guy. We used to live near you. So when he's jet set and limousine riding on the set of some amazing on Tachanga's world premiere, I just
showrunner.
Exactly. I just asked to be in the number. That's all. Can a brother get a ticket? That's all I can ask. But again, we just have so much amazing talent. Again, the synergies of being able to see that support be shoulder to shoulder in Black Comics is just, that's the secret sauce, right? We can, and I think it goes, we have Mattel and Illuminati and Ariana and so many others that around the world are seeing our stories worth the value of their time and talents. Again, that just, it speaks to the continuation of just great story is just going to be great story.
I think we should. I think a lot of us, shout out to everybody that's working out of our corner of the industry. We're like a microcosm within a microcosm, but I think the smart people, the Danny Quicks, the Brian Lamberts, the Robert Jeffries, the Uriases, the Keithan Jones, all the homies, Ray Comics over there with TJ, Newton Lillavois. Like, listen, I want us to be thinking about, my hope will be for us to be thinking about, if we're the foundation of this microcosm within the microcosm, if we're the foundation of this little corner of the industry, I want us to build out this foundation. I want it to be so that Robert Jeffrey we don't have a fear of losing him to the mainstream. We are the norm for people like him and the younger versions of him. You know what I'm saying? I want us to be like hip hop is in the music industry, right? Like hip hop went from a microcosm of a microcosm to a cornerstone, and
Right.
we need to be cornerstones in this ever speedily growing, fast coming future. We need to be thinking cornerstone rather than microcosm within a microcosm. So we got a lot of smart people and decent people making comics right now, Black Comics. And man, shout out to y'all, man. I love them dudes.
Oh, absolutely. I fully understand and appreciate that. We are the future. This is the future of storytelling. What we're asking people to help us overfund on this particular campaign for the amazing creators that you're citing, the ones that I'm sure are top of mind, but also top of stacks for people when they're looking to support these types of things. So that's it. Because when we talk about that mainstream, like they're not keeping up, right? And I think that's where our realities are. Is that people are looking at it, and you're seeing it just in real time, where like those 30, 40, 50-year-old franchises, right, they have all the money and all the reasons to be successful, can't be,
Right.
and so they're having to look right back to the to what used to be the help, right, is now the owners, right. And I think we are learning in the right way to build, what kind of the word of the day is like infrastructure, right,
Yeah,
and
there's a squandering. There's a squandering, maybe a haughtiness that is going on over on that side. I think we see with the bankruptcy of Diamond and stuff like that, like we definitely see um structures falling, you know what I'm saying? Like I was upset. Um we definitely see, what did Black Widow say in the first Avengers? I see regimes fall all the. I don't shed tears for regimes. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Russian, so I kind of feel like there's a lot of that going on over on that side, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to come up as the foundation. I'm gonna push back a little bit on what you said. I don't know that we're the future because we are now. I feel like I kind of feel like an old man in this almost, right? Like in my 20s, I had that vivacious energy, that uh, vibrant, not tainted love for this thing. Now I feel like an older man, I'm more tempered, but I feel like the younger versions of us, and they're out there somewhere, those cats, those guys and those ladies and those they thems are the future. And I want to make sure that they can do what we do without all of the baggage that we had. I really believe all of us, all the smart people of us, can come together and figure out a way for that not to happen. So yeah, I think man, I'm secretly an optimist. I like to act like a pragmatist, but I think the future could be very bright if we work smarter and not harder.
Oh, absolutely. And to your point point of clarification, yes, the future. I think we're living in the future now, only from the speed by which everything changes, right? I mean, we could say,
Yes.
I mean, AI is one thing, but it's just the access, right? The fact that you and I can sit in our homes and broadcast our ideas and thoughts to the world, right?
That part.
20, 30,
Yeah.
40 years ago, like that just wasn't viable. But now,
Ab-
everyone has that. But at the same time, what the delineation is that we have great stories. And
Absolutely.
what's been underestimated and maybe even some senses undervalued is now it's the world, right?
Yeah.
The world is not this current regime, and so why they can't keep up. And want to give a shout out to said Pharaoh here. Appreciate your family. We saw you a note here. I think your work and all of us, your support and your space, that we are laying that foundation. So when we have I say it in two parts. Like I think, like let's say for example, like a streamer like a Corey Extension, right? Like
Right.
I have three TVs in my house that only have that young man on it all day long, all right? And so I know he has like his manga, like I think Our Dreams Awake, I think is what it's called. But the idea of like if you
The
got
monsters we create or something like that. I
monsters we
think.
create, yeah, or yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So to that point, his manga, the fact that he just says, "Hey, I'm going to make a manga," I don't have to ask permission, right?
Right.
I've got 10, probably 20 million followers. All right, that it's just been me playing video games and things and doing my own thing my own way. I don't have to ask
Yeah.
permission, right? Like
Yeah.
those are like the new owners, right?
Yeah.
Of a digital age that that all this stuff is really going to be built around. And so to your point, I think we are a foundation, but upon that foundation, like it's those tall beams that are going to be the skyscrapers of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I think there's still some time, but I think in those hella halls of those skyscrapers are going to be a Changa, are going to be a 133 art, right? It's going to
Listen.
be is Nana the Wear Spider, right? Like those are going to be when you ascending those stairs, right? Those are going to be the big pictures. Like those are the things. And
Shit.
so
If I have my say, yeah, hell yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be it. Your say is the success of this campaign and the points forward, right? Appreciate you said on the, give a shout out to Alyssa A. Lewis, one of our best in the space of animation and talent sourcing. You
Oh
know,
wow.
let's see. I want to say Emmy winning Alyssa A. Lewis. Let me give this young lady her bona fides. Wherever she is in the world. I appreciate you and your conversations and being a part, being an example. Of
On the list of
building.
folks I need to meet.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, and that's why I say we are enough, and I think that's been my thing.
Yes.
Just from Sassoon, it's just not this. It's we don't have to ask permission to tell these stories and have these spaces. And particularly when we have campaigns and spaces like Kickstarter where we can directly support each other, support what we want to see, and really just be do what Black people have done in the space. Innovate in the face of inequality,
Yeah.
right? It's just like whatever you don't give us, just we're going to take it. We're going to take what we have, and it's going to be more than enough. And so I
Well,
think these sports here, please continue.
you know my theory, man. My working theory is it's an issue of visibility. Is our is like one of our biggest hurdles, maybe our biggest hurdle. Visibility as a collective, like as a cornerstone, and visibility individually. I think if we can crack the code of visibility, of marketing, of PR, then I think we could make it happen. We know for a fact that when we crack that visibility code, like Roy A, creator of Ianu, Child of Wonder, all over Cartoon Network and HBO. Shout out to Roy A, big boy.
Absolutely, shout out to you. Yeah.
We know, shout out to Brandon, shout out to that whole team. Listen, we know from seeing their successes that it's a visibility thing. When people see what we're creating, when a large group of them, we prosper, man. We get in the space and we take it over. So I think it's my working thesis is visibility, and we need to crack that code. And there's too many of us are smart not to put our heads together and crack that code.
Yeah, I'm likewise optimistic that we will, right? And so, I want to just give one final point. Let me drop our link here just again to make sure that we've got a space and place to kind of close out, right? I think we see it and we believe it, right? Not only just with the support of this campaign, but the support that led up to the campaign. Again, several successfully delivered campaigns in that sense. And but that's what it takes to be not only a super creator, also a super backer, supporting the other folks that you want to see and building that infrastructure for us. So I just want to give us a space to really just appreciate this work, this program, and to say, to give a final conversation to you, or ask you to kind of give us a final closing remarks for what this program means and what can we continue to do to support and uplift you and the 133 enterprises.
Oh man, absolutely. First, gratitude to you, man. Creating a space, creating Subsume, for us, and again for the younger versions of us, man. Like world citizen Subsume too, man. Damn, you all over everywhere. And being able to speak to a lot of times what's going on outside of our country with the other Black people in the earth, like what is going on and what are the opportunities. So we're very grateful for that. I will say that, me personally, and I know a lot of dudes, uh, a lot of us. So thank you for that. As far as what I would like to leave everybody with, man, we are 133 Art for, I don't know, almost 15 years now. Is it 15? 2012 to 2025. Damn, that's a lot of years. Almost 15 years now. Has been trying and hopefully succeeding to create Black content, in the comic book universe, media, you know what I'm saying? And we just would like to continue, and we'd like to be one of the entities that help build that foundation for the younger versions of us. So if you feel inclined, please support us. Please support this Kickstarter endeavor and get you a big honking book. I got prototypes right here. Look at that. I think it's it's 300 plus pages. We're doing some of the printing in-house, the hardcover printing outside, just because we don't have the facilities. And just keep an eye on 133 Art. Even if it's a like, it's a share, if it's monetary support, just holler at us, man. We're trying to make the things that you and I like.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I appreciate you, and likewise, right? It's I've got to see the success of a 133 Art to understand what are the possibilities of a Subsume, right? And I think it's what it is. We're all 10 poles in just this amazing infrastructure. That at least I have the privilege and sometimes to kind of see, in spaces that aren't the U.S. and thankfully are not the U.S. That Black excellence particularly it's a global, not phenomenon, but it's just a legacy, right? We've been doing this. And so I think it's the idea of, to your point, a collective understanding in the right place at the right time is the future that we're laying in space. And so things like the OneNation Omnibus is, I think, it's a critical component that we see that we are enough. So that's why I'm emboldened to know that I could call somebody like you and say, like, man, this is wonderful. Not only can I support, but like, how can I learn? How can I build with you, right? And just be completely transparent. You've been absolutely a fantastic resource. There would be no Subsume, I don't really think, without like
I curse more in person.
What's that?
I say I curse more and I'm more militant in person.
Well, but that's it. But you don't know what you don't know, and I definitely don't know everything, but I know enough to know good people and great work, right? And you are both, and I think for you and your family and the folks, that's what we got to have. So I'm happy to get out here, me and my hat, and just hit play and just try to, just get the word out. Like, hey, I know something that's cool, and try to share. So, and again, I appreciate everyone that's hopped in, jumped in with the space, the love, the support. Again, we'll continue to give this and all the folks that we see that are building in like mind and like ability, to make this tomorrow come a little quicker. And I think that's the only thing that we can't control this time, but we can definitely control, again, the spaces that we want to support. So I just want to give a final shout and appreciation to you and to this campaign and to the artistry and the businesses that make this happen. So that also is a mission critical component that could be a whole nother show. Is the business of this thing. Well, you got to do good business, and you do good business. So let's just thank you and everyone else for that. And the Black Comic Connects will continue. So with folks like with Jason, I know Ray Comics has some stuff coming up. yeah, we're just gonna just try to keep this going. So I think as many wins we can get on the board. That's how we get it going. So um, that's it. Yeah, let's just make that tomorrow come a little quicker. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for listening. And yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and close this on out. And yeah, we'll figure this out from here. So if you catch me out on Dragon Con, I'm sure we'll have some flyers and some spaces to talk about this. Definitely during the diversity track for us here in the great Atlanta space, but also just to kind of keep our socials and all of our spaces together so that we can just keep this going. And so I want to thank you, Jason. Thank everybody at home, and just appreciate everybody being a part of Black Comics Connect. Looking at the dopest Kickstarters in town, and this is one definitely for the ages. So thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah, we do.
All right, appreciate you. All right, well, family, we're gonna go ahead and give y'all back y'all evening, and so get out here in these creative streets. We appreciate each of you, and thank y'all all so very much for your love and support, not only of Jason in the space at 133 Art, but our overall sense and space of our Black comics industry, which is an industry and a space. And I appreciate you, Jason. Again, yet another legacy component of the spaces that we want to be and supporting what we want to see. So I think with that, I really just want to thank y'all for your time and your attention, and again your love and support. Let's take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see y'all in the future. Take care, y'all.